Welcome to The Lock Shop with Nielsen and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
$11:04. Welcome inside The Lock Shop. Dusty with you. Hustle be by momentarily. We've got a national college football championship to discuss. The college football natty, as they like to call it. We'll get into that. A little bit of a disappointing effort by Washington's offense, but lots of credit to Michigan and what they did defensively last night. Just thought there was a lot of points left on the table by the Huskies. We will get into that. It is a busy slate in the National Hockey League tonight as well. We'll build a little partner parlay on that bad boy. We've got an EST parlay that's already posted. You can go get on that. It's been up since this morning. It was $4.90 when it was posted. I haven't checked in on it in the last little while, but Huss joins us now. Huss, what's going on, buddy? How you doing, man?
Dusty, what's up? Game day here in the Peg.
You got big plans rolling up this weekend, hey? Making a trip, are we?
Yes. I've made it happen. There's a lot of things working against me behind the scenes, including moving the game up, but I've found a way. I will announce myself as active for the for the wild card weekend. I will be at Arrowhead, bundled up.
How long a drive is that for you to get down to Arrowhead?
12.
Oh, 12 hours. 12. Okay. Yeah.
But I mean, honestly, it's the easiest drive of all time.
Straight line, a straight shot?
I go from my place to Pembina, hang a right, past Sal's, past the university, and keep going for 12 hours, and you get to Kansas City.
Does that just take you straight to Kansas City?
You never turn. You never turn.
Come on, I didn't know that.
Yeah, like if you put it in on the Garmin or your map, it'll say, okay, go to Pembina Highway, turn right, drive straight for 12 hours, 10 minutes. Dude. It's pretty easy. So I got to do the show on Friday. So we'll get out of here like as soon as WST is over. Probably bang off about 9 of the 12 hours or so.
Okay.
And then crash for 6 or 7 and then get up and head in and should be in, noonish or early afternoon. Then I think it's a 7:00 start. I would be more concerned if it was a normal game, but I have a feeling with what the weather is supposed to be like on Saturday, we probably won't be doing a long extended outdoor tailgate as normally happens.
You're going to have to bundle up, buddy. You got to get those hot pockets for the boots and the gloves and be ready to go.
It's an advantage for me. I'm from Winnipeg.
Yeah, that's true. You've done it for Bombers on a regular basis.
And to be honest, I mean, I was at the AFC Championship game in 2019, the infamous D Ford offside, which gave Tom Brady the do-over after what would have been a game-ending interception. That was cold as hell too. I want to say that was in the low teens Fahrenheit. So I can't remember what that was. Can't remember what that was Celsius-wise. But anyways, it's going to be a little colder. And I'll be honest, the AFC Championship game last year between the Chiefs and Bengals wasn't very, very warm. Listen, I'll be fine. I will bundle up. But I think the Dolphins are absolutely screwed. like Miami. And again, who knows? Maybe this
is it just the cold, Huss, or is there snow coming too?
I don't know if it'll be a snow game. I mean, I think there's some snow coming through in advance, but as far as actual game day, I don't know if anything's going to be coming down. To be honest, as cold as it is, usually that's sort of past the point where you're actually getting much precipitation, and it's just brutally cold. So what a way to welcome Tyreek Hill back to Arrowhead in what will be, I think, for, as far as Winnipeg numbers or a Celsius, I'm gonna just get an update here on this right now. Yeah, I mean Saturday it's looking at in and around minus 18 Celsius. So
oh boy,
that's not. And they got the winter storm warning in effect right now, so they're getting it now. And it just looks like it's going to basically get really cold on Saturday. I guess there's a chance. It does look like the high on Friday is -3. So you never know if sort of that maybe gets pushed back, although there's supposed to be a lot of snow on Friday. So who knows? Bottom line is my pal Greg are going to be jumping in the truck right after the show and figuring out a way to get there. So I will be there probably. Hopefully, it won't be too cold to actually pull my phone out and grab a few pics and some stuff for the for Twitter and the gram. But I'm looking forward to it. I told you before I was thinking about spending the Christmas week there.
You were, yeah.
The Raider game on Christmas Day, and then the Bengals game on the 31st. I'm glad I wasn't there for the Raider game on Christmas. That would have been a real lump of coal. And just the fact that Joe Burrow was out, it made more sense to kind of hang out and try and do a playoff game. And I've been lucky enough to kind of hold off a couple times and go down for the AFC Championship game. But unfortunately, the annual Arrowhead Invitational is off this year because the Chiefs didn't get the number 1 seed. They got to go on the road. So I don't know. This is going to be a really fun week, though. I mean, Super Wildcard Weekend. There's some great matchups, and I know we'll get to those in a minute. But hey, listen, just before we kind of dive into the hockey and football and everything tonight, did you have some fun this morning with the story out of Philly last night?
Yeah, just a little bit. we had one of our best bits today. Actually, I didn't even ward text of the day today, now that I think of it. One of our best bits today was ways that Danny Briere tried to get Cutter Gauthier's attention at the World Juniors. And we had some really, really good suggestions on him, like knocking on the hotel room door and then like covering up the peephole and pretending it was room service and all this stuff. Like that was like, I laid it out. I don't know if I still have my show notes from today, but like, yeah, I do. No, that's yesterday's. There was like 4 or 5 things about the drama in Philly last night that were just insane. Like Cutter Gauthier giving Philly management the cold shoulder was one thing. Philadelphia media basically with sources within the organization saying that Hayes' fingerprints are all over it. Gauthier admitting over the last little while that he speaks to Kevin Hayes and highly regards his opinion on things. The Spit and Chiclet guys defending their buddy Hazy in the situation, saying it's absolutely bogus claims that he would have anything to do with this. John Tortorella saying he wouldn't know Cutter Gauthier from a hole in the wall. Like we kind of hit for the cycle last night in Philly, buddy. It was amazing.
Well, the one thing that really stood out to me, and listen, we've all seen situations of players that don't want to be in a certain place. I mean, it takes a special sense of stones to do it before you've even signed a contract in the NHL, especially to an organization like Philadelphia. But the way that the Flyers were ready to go and hit the media. First of all, this trade happened during a game. They're in the middle of a game against their arch rivals, the Pittsburgh Penguins. They announced this trade. Everyone is shocked by it. And by the end of the game, Danny Briere has spoken. Their chairman has spoken. I mean, there was 3 different people that spoke in addition to John Tortorella. And I respect the message that they're saying, hey, you don't want to be a Flyer? We don't want you. And listen, I'll be frank. I mean, I haven't broken down the pro prospects of Cutter Gauthier. I know he was a 5th overall pick, and he's had a great World Juniors. But to kind of be in that situation, first of all, to not have it get out it was interesting hearing Briere sort of thank the other GMs for, keeping it on the down low. I mean, I didn't hear any insider get wind of this before it happened. It caught everyone off guard. And so anyways, well done to Briere and whoever they were working with. But I mean, they were ready with the PR onslaught. And remember when JD Drew didn't want to go to Philly and he was welcomed to Philly by people throwing batteries at him? Well, I think the battery shower might be in effect when Gauthier and the Ducks finally get to Philly. They were ready and they unloaded both barrels on this guy from every angle. And then Torts came in, as we mentioned, and I don't know him from a hole in the wall. I want to talk about Jamie, the guy that we have that'll be going forward. Hey, Drysdale's a great young player. Had some injury issues, but I'll tell you what, they're
he's a very effective right shot D-man, which is not easy to find, and they got a 2nd round pick. So
it is sort of funny that the Flyers benefited from this on the Lindros side, and now they're sort of getting it on the opposite end, though.
Yeah, on a different level of player, though.
Oh, for sure. They'll take that trade.
Yeah. Drysdale was the 6th overall pick in 2020. And as you mentioned, some injuries have kind of hampered him over the last little while. But he put up 32 points in his first full season in the NHL back in 21-22, and certainly offensive dynamo on the back end. So we'll see if that trade works out for both sides.
Hey, check this out. So this is obviously because Kevin Hayes got brought up. He's been hearing it in the media. This is from Matt DeFranks, who writes for the Blues.
I just read this.
So he says, yeah, it's complete BS, honestly. I think those two guys acted like complete pieces of shit, to be honest, making shit up. Now I'm going to bed and waking up with death threats, and people want my family dead, and people that are happy that my brother's dead. It's completely insane that this guy can say something like that. I honestly heard it and started laughing. Who the F am I to have influence on if a kid plays for an NHL team or not? I don't have that influence. Needless to say, we didn't expect Philly fans to handle this well, but that's pretty ugly stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty ugly stuff. Like, the threats and things are absolutely ridiculous. I do find it interesting, though, that people who cover the team, like even Chris Therien was out there saying there's some truth bombs being dropped on this Kevin Hayes stuff. So, I mean, those guys are getting their information from somewhere. I don't think a guy who's covered the Flyers for 30 years is just going to make random things up. So it's very much a he said, she said thing. But at the same time, you know, a fan base takes things way over the top with the death threats and shit like that. It's ridiculous.
Oh, my God. Yeah, no kidding. I mean, I did see, you probably saw it as well, that interview with Gauthier saying, he was on some podcast. They were asking, about the club. He said, I'm really in touch with Kevin Hayes. He's really treated me well. He took me out golfing. I stay in touch with him. So, I mean, there is that clip that adds credence, I guess, to what Anthony Sanfilippo said. But, the Flyers were ready for this. They were prepared. They pulled the trigger on it, and then they let it out. And I got to tell you, it's made for a very interesting, 18 hours on social media and following this story. And it'll be one of those stories that we'll be talking about for years, really, because these two guys are going to be tied to their former teams. And I hope it works out for Philly. I mean, I kind of hate when guys just, pull this out, and you wonder what happened too. Like, apparently, RA, who, from Spittin' Chicklets, they have some source with them, said that the reason why Cutter Gauthier wanted to go elsewhere was because, quote, a rookie GM and coaching style. And I mean, when that's pretty entitled, if you ask me.
Well, for a guy who hasn't played in the National Hockey League, if you're a 10-year vet, okay, maybe I can get it. But yeah, Scott Hartnell said that last night too on the broadcast. He said this guy hasn't played in the NHL yet. Who's he to call his shots on what's going on here? So, yeah, I mean, we'll see how this thing plays out. But you are right. I mean, Cutter Gauthier is going to be going back to Philly a few times in his National Hockey League career, and it's going to be talked about every single time. So it was funny because you kind of went from the college – well, it actually broke during the college football game, but you kind of went from the college football game into the reaction to the Cutter Gauthier thing for the rest of the night. It made for a pretty entertaining Monday night, buddy. I'm not going to lie.
Every 20 minutes, there was a new press conference from somebody from the Flyers organization on Twitter.
Yeah, going, Danny Briere getting posted, this getting posted, here's Torts. It was, that was wild.
And you know what's funny about it? And then this is why, I mean, listen, I don't want to say I have a poor opinion of this Gauthier kid. I don't know anything about him other than what's happened. But to do this now, when the Flyers have been so far beyond anyone's expectations of what they've been this year. I mean, like, Torts is doing an unbelievable job. They have been far more competitive than anyone expected. I mean, they're still sitting there battling for a playoff spot. And that's, I think, beyond anyone's expectations. So, if anything, I mean, to say that it's because it's a rookie GM, I mean, I don't know. I've got a pretty big issue with that right now. And needless to say, so do folks in Philly, and this will be a story we'll be following along. And hey, listen, go nuts, enjoy Anaheim. I'm sure it's a great place to live, but if you're expecting to be part of a cup contender anytime soon, probably a lot of work. Well, he'll be a big part of that. I mean, it puts a lot of pressure.
They got a good young
too.
group, yeah, and he's a big piece of it. There's no doubt about it. But they got a nice group there with McTavish and Zegras and Carlson and a bunch of the other young guys they've got too. So just a matter of making it work there and see where he fits in.
Is Zegras that good, or is he great on highlights?
I think Zegras is extremely talented. I think if I had to build a team around one of those guys, not knowing, I think I would take McTavish to build a team around over Zegras. But I also feel like Zegras will pop off for 95 points one year. You know, like there'll be that one year where all of his skill just kind of comes together, and that's great when they take a little bit of a step.
He might be minus 30.
Well, yeah, I'm not going to deny that he might be minus 30 at the same time, but he's pretty talented guy. Well, let's just stick with last night. We'll get to it. It's a busy NHL slate. Winnipeg, Edmonton. I see the Nasty Chat putting together a bunch of options for a little Nasty Chat parlay that Jake's over there working on right now. So they'll put something in here. There's a lot of options that have flown in there from Mark and Evan and Big Uke, Richard, Duck Dad, a bunch of people with different options over there. Of course, you can text us anytime, 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999 on the text line here at Edmonton Sports Talk. Huss, what about that football game last night, buddy? We got to break that down. I was not very impressed with the Washington offense like I was expecting to be a little bit, considering how good they were throughout the year.
No, they were missing that big Penix energy that
Yes.
Desmond Howard talked about when they were out there. That's still one of the funniest clips of all time. It's like he didn't understand that the guy's name was pronounced Penix.
I know, and he thought it was like, this is great.
Big Penix energy. They needed a little bit more of that. Listen, I think he was hurt. I mean, if you
He
saw
was
the way
clearly
he was
hurt
walking
for a
off,
good chunk of that.
he was playing through something. But, I mean, for a guy that had been so brilliant all season, the throws were there. I mean, he missed at least 2 big-time throws that would have been explosive plays that could have really changed the game.
And they were there for him, and they just missed them, right? Like, they were there. It was They left some of those big plays on the board. That Michigan's defense was great last night. Don't get me wrong, but you're right, Huss. Like, there were plays there to be made, and they just failed to execute.
Yeah, I mean, the Michigan defense was the best unit on the field, and I guess we probably should have expected that from how good that they've been all season long. But I got to tip my cap to the Washington defense. I mean, everyone thought that was the weak link of all 4 of the units in the game. And I know they didn't have a great start, but they buckled down and absolutely kept Washington in that game. I mean, I'll be honest, about 8-10 minutes into the game, I thought, oh, this is going to be
run away.
Yeah. That, we were turning the TV off in the second half, and it wasn't that case. But yeah, it was an unfortunate night for Penix. I mean, he just missed on a few throws that could have really made that game a heck of a lot closer. In the end, though, Michigan was the better team. They deserved to win. And then, with the opportunities that Washington got that they didn't capitalize on at that point, finally the dam was going to break on the Washington defensive side of the football, and they got through. But overall, I mean, a fun game. I'm just glad that this playoff is finished in its current format. And next year, I mean, it's going to be like NFL playoffs, basically.
Well, next year you get a team like Georgia in there that could have won this entire thing, right? Like next year,
Georgia might be the best team.
Well, exactly.
I'd love to see them get a shot at Michigan.
Yeah. No, I think that would be good. So next year there won't be any more of that debate, because everybody will get not everybody, but all the teams that you want to see get a crack at it will end up getting a crack at it. Let me ask you this, and I know we were in the Lock Shop chat last night with Jake and Patty, and we're talking about it. But I spent a good chunk of the second half going over mock drafts and stuff, seeing where some of these receivers might go for fantasy purposes and dynasty leagues and things like that. The one draft I looked at had McCarthy going in the first round. When you watch those 2 quarterbacks last night, do either of them reek of first round pick to you? Like, it's got to happen? Because I mean, I could see it happen, but I also feel like when I watched that game last night, there was nothing ordinarily special from what I saw last night from those guys. I know Penix has had a huge year, obviously. But I don't know. I just didn't get that vibe last night from either guy.
Put it this way. I mean, for Penix, when they're putting together his footage to potentially get drafted, that footage is not going to be at the front of the tape.
No.
I mean, that was a rough game for him. I mean, compared to what he'd done all season long. And listen, they beat a really good Texas team. He came up clutch. I mean, it's not like he doesn't have a lot of big time games. So I think it's one game is not going to take away all of his draft stock, but our team's going to make a move to try and get him early on in the first round. Is he going to come in as a potential? I mean, I think he'll have an opportunity to make a team and then see where it goes. And I would say the same thing about McCarthy. I mean, he's got pretty crazy accolades. I mean, they call him the greatest quarterback in Michigan history, which is pretty high praise. And he can run the football. I mean, he does. He reminded me a little bit of Burrow with his feet, sort of deceptive. When there is room, he'll take it and run. But I'm not sure that he throws it at that level. I mean, there's a lot of great quarterbacking talent this year. I mean, just like right at the top, you got Caleb Williams, you got Drake May.
Yeah.
That kid from Florida State that was up for the Heisman that ended up getting injured.
Got hurt.
Cost them a spot in the playoff. So there's another tier below that I guess those guys are in. It'll be interesting to see where they go. So McCarthy, they think, is going to be sort of like a late first rounder?
Yeah, it was the USA Today mock that I looked at last night. They had quarterbacks going 1, 2, 3. Caleb Williams, that's with the Bears. Obviously, we have to see what happens with the Bears and Justin Fields. But, I mean, somebody, if they want to move the pick, somebody will move up and get it. They had Drake May going 2. Jaden Daniels of LSU actually going 3. And obviously the big season that he had. And then they had J.J. McCarthy going 13th. That was just one of the ones that I looked at last night. So, I do, I'm a complete draft nerd, so I'll be diving all over these mocks, but I do find them somewhat interesting with the two quarterbacks last night.
As a Chiefs guy, I don't care about the quarterbacks. Give me the rankings of the receivers, please, because and I'll tell you what, Washington has a couple. I mean, I was really impressed with those guys. Like when they actually got the football, their ability to get extra yards, to evade tackles. As I said, if Penix had a bit better of a game and made a few more throws, I think we would have seen a little more fireworks from that group. But we will see. But yeah, another season in the books, fun playoffs, some good games. I still think FSU got screwed, even though they probably would have gotten killed. And Georgia could easily be the best team. I mean, next year, think about this though. You'll have Florida State in. You'll have Ohio State in. You'll have Georgia in. You'll have one other team, and you'll truly, I think, be able to say we've got the worthy national champion. But for Michigan, they certainly deserve it. 15-0 is 15-0. They got the job done in a great season to Washington. Hey, before we dive into this hockey tonight, we should maybe do this on a daily basis this week. Just take a quick look at what's happened with these NFL lines, because I just pulled them up and there's been some pretty interesting line movement in a couple of these games.
Has there really? I haven't even. I was so focused on the Oilers game this morning, I didn't even spend any time slide over to the NFL games. Let's see here. Cleveland still 3 points. The Chiefs 4-point favorites. That's changed, right?
That was 3.5.
Okay.
I'm kicking myself for not betting it yesterday, because as I said, I think as we get closer to the weekend and this forecast becomes more publicly available and people know about it, I think there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be jumping on Kansas City as opposed to the Dolphins in the spot that they're in.
Was that Eagles line? Was the Eagles line not 4.5 yesterday?
I was just about to say that's the biggest mover so far.
1.5.
A 1.5. Needless to say, everything has come in on Tampa so far. And I do I definitely regret it. I mean, a move from 4.5 to 3 is massive.
That's
pretty
we're not
significant.
Talking
about 5.5. I mean, you're moving over a couple big time thresholds, which tells you that maybe they made that line too high. Honestly, though, Dusty, I mean, who could possibly be confident in the Eagles right now? I mean, they've lost to the Giants. They've lost to the Cardinals. They've lost. I mean, what are they? 1-4 since they raised the banner for the Week 12.
Completely cool down the stretch, yes. But it's the Bucks. The Bucks haven't really done anything to make me have any sort of faith in them at all during the season.
Well, here's the thing about Tampa. They're not consistent at all, but they can come up with a big game. And I know they looked meh, beating Carolina 9-0, and they were not good for 3 quarters against the Saints. But back up 2 weeks before that, and Baker was going in and looking like the second coming of Tom Brady and torching the Packers in Lambeau in a game and a win that eventually kind of set the path for them to win the division. I don't know about Tampa. And they also do have some playoff experience in that room with the likes of the Evans and Godwins. Um, I really regret not jumping on Tampa right out of the gate, though, because I don't think I could possibly bring myself to bet Philly. I don't mind Tampa, to be honest, on the money line at plus 135. I mean, that's where that Eagles defense is. And I mean, even the Eagles offense looks pretty rough right now. I mean, they just don't have any confidence. Jalen Hurts does not look like the guy that was pretty much the MVP for 14 weeks of the year last year. So Philly fans can just worry about Hayden Cutter Gauthier right now and maybe take the heat off of the Eagles right now. Rams and Lions are still at 3. I don't think that's going to change very much. The Packers are hanging there at 7.5. I guess Dallas is such a public team, but you know what? So is Green Bay. Fascinating to see what happens with this one. And a half point has gone back to Pittsburgh. I did think that 10 that was hung up there is probably not
back down to 9.5. Yeah, we talked about that yesterday, right? Like if you want the Steelers, that 10 was probably the best you were going to. Well, it was the best you were going to get.
But you know, just specifically to that Eagles-Bucks game, we've seen such a big swing from 4.5 to 3. Like, does it maybe get back to 3.5 on the other side? Or does it keep going? And are we talking about a 2 or a 1.5 point game because people are so out on Philly and what we've seen in the past month?
I mean, maybe it just stays right where it's at. Because I can't see this moving to 2.5. I feel like it's already gone from 4.5 to 3 in one day. So, I mean, is there that much momentum here behind the Bucs that line moves inside a field goal? Like, I'm looking at Tampa here, and they go 9-8. Here's their wins this year. You know, they beat the Panthers 9-0, whatever. They beat the Jags 30-12. Now, let me just see here. Trevor Lawrence didn't finish that game. C.J. Beathard came in. So take that for what it's worth. Like you mentioned, that win over the Packers, 34-20 at Lambeau. They beat the Falcons 29-25 in Atlanta. They beat the Panthers, so 2 of their wins came against the Panthers. They lost to the Colts. They lost to the Niners. They beat the Titans. They lost to the Texans. They lost to the Bills. They lost to the Falcons. They lost to the Lions. They beat the Saints. They lost to the Eagles. Then they beat the Bears, and they beat their early season Vikings when they were struggling. So it's not like an amazing schedule. They lost to most of the good teams that they played along the way. But it comes back around to, is Philly a good team right now? And the evidence there says they're nowhere near what they were for the first 12 weeks of the season. So
it's all caps no on that. As I said, we'll kind of follow that and we'll get closer to the picks on the weekend. I will tell you that the script is in parlay has moved from plus 208 to plus 194. If you want to take Cleveland, Kansas City, Buffalo money lines to ensure a Joe Flacco Browns Ravens second round matchup and Bills Chiefs at Bill Stadium. And I think that's because the Chiefs were originally minus 182 or so on the money line, and it's now minus 208.
I've just been so amused watching the Nasty Chat today. If this is where we get to every single day on the Lock Shop, I'm going to love it. It's just lock shoppers throwing out picks and Jake trying to sort through to figure something out for a little EST chat parlay today, which is awesome to see. Awesome to see. So keep those rolling in. Jake, good luck. Let us know what you end up locking in. You want to slide over to the NHL here, Huss?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so first of all, quickly, EST exclusive is already up, plus 490. Draisaitl to score, McDavid 2 points, Nuge and Bouchard both at the point. Team total for the Oilers over 3.5, and Edmonton minus 1.5, so they got win by 2. It's at plus 490. The Oilers are a huge road favorite tonight against the banged-up Chicago Blackhawks. The Hawks missing, by my count, 6 of their top 9 forwards to start the season. The puck line at minus 2.5 is plus 106 tonight for the Oilers against the Chicago Blackhawks. So all of Edmonton is looking to cash. Cool Bet will desperately need the Hawks to either win this game or lose a close one because Edmonton is hammered. It's a minus 439 on the money line tonight against the Chicago Blackhawks. I just don't think the Oilers have won 7 in a row. They're absolutely rolling. They're essentially healthy. Nothing against Dylan Holloway, who they don't have. And the Hawks are just ravaged by injury right now.
It's
So
the Rockford Ice Hogs.
yeah, well, it's
Like,
more
you guys
Ice
are
Hogs
playing
than
the
it is
Rockford Ice
Blackhawks.
Hogs
Yeah,
tonight.
it's a good point.
Well, and even the guys that are on the Blackhawks were sort of borderline
AHL guys anyway.
to begin with.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they have more forward money on IR than they do in the lineup.
I'm pretty sure somebody texted into our show earlier this morning and said the Hawks forwards payroll tonight is 15 mil. Like they have 15 million guys, like 15 million spent on their forward group tonight, which is like the equivalent of basically just over Connor McDavid. So it should be pretty significant. Spency 5 cents, he says it was like minus 250 or something for the Oilers to win in regulation. So a lot of people are going to be on that one. That parlay's already out there. There's enough games tonight that Huss and I will build a lock shop partner parlay as well. The Jets at home against the Columbus Blue Jackets. You got to feel pretty good about this one too, buddy.
Yeah, and I see that Rod Z has just mentioned that Columbus has covered the puck line 7 straight against the Jets. I do warn, if you're looking at, I mean, listen, we love the trends, especially Rod's trends. This Jets team is just so different than the other teams. I have a hard time putting too much into previous seasons and trends when it comes to what Winnipeg's doing this year. I mean,
Is that just with Winnipeg or is that with a lot of different teams, Huss? I'm always cautious on trends with so much turnover in different leagues, you know?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I like to lean on it. I guess just the point that I'm making is this Jets team, while much of the personnel is the same, is just so different from any group that we've seen before in just how consistent they are night after night, game after game. And we haven't seen at any point them sort of let off the gas. They've played a lot of hockey, and I will say this: if you're one of those people that believes in the schedule, they had played 5-7 and 6-9. This is their first game back after a road trip. They just had the 1 day off, and they're right back at it tonight. So, if you buy into those sort of narratives, maybe you give Columbus a bit of a thought on this. I can't do it though. I mean, to me, the Jets are playing at such a high level. And listen, Columbus is banged up too. I mean, Line A is still out right now. I am looking forward to seeing Fantilli. He's this is going to be my first time to get a chance to see him in person. I'm just pulling up the CBJ lines, and Fantilli's playing number 1 center with Johnny Gaudreau. You got Cole Sillinger who had a hat trick last week, and Chinnikov, who's actually been pretty good, and Marchenko. I mean, they've got some talent there in the top 6. Then, of course, our old pal Jack Rostovic on the third line with the rookie Kent Johnson. And then some other guys, Texier, Voronkov, Matthew Olivier. But the big guy that they're missing right now is Werenski. I mean, he is such a horse on their blue line. So it's up to David Severinsen, Adam Boqvist, David Jiricek, and Ivan Provorov to hold it down. I'm pretty confident about the Jets right now. They've hard not to like what they're doing. And, of course, right now with them being in a battle night in and night out at the top of the NHL standings, they didn't get a lot of help last night. Of course, it was a 3-point game between Boston and Colorado. We should have bet that one before. Dallas got a win right now. So they do have a 1-point lead on top of the standings over Boston. 1 point over Vancouver, who looked great last night. Great last night against the Rangers.
Yeah, they did. They get the Islanders tonight too, right? So
because I was on the Rangers. But listen, they get a win tonight. They'll get to 40 games played, one more. I guess the halfway points will be after this game against Chicago on the weekend. Jets have the opportunity, if they put a couple wins in, can get to the halfway mark of the season with only 9 regulation losses and in first place in the league. So I don't know what more you can ask from the squad right now, but I'm looking forward to it. And you'll love this too, Dusty. So we did a promo for our Christmas party where we were getting the raising money for the Christmas cheerboard. And a friend of mine from Ticketmaster gave us 4 seats for this new ultra premium section where they basically changed 3 suites into a section of its own where we've got these massive leather high back chairs.
Come on.
Recliners, yeah. And a chef in there making different food throughout the game and stuff like that. So We'll probably have some lifestyles of the rich and famous tweets tonight. Enjoying the game tonight with our winner. Remus and I are going to be taking a couple of our listeners that won the draw for the thing. So looking forward to that tonight. Sure beats the press box, I'll tell you.
Yeah, that'll beat the press box a little bit. I think you'll probably enjoy that. You know what I like enjoying? I like seeing Duck Dad in the nasty chat saying, "I've got Fantilli not scoring tonight on a 10-leg no goals parlay." LOL. I love it. 10 guys to not score tonight in the National Hockey League. I gotta know, Duck Dad. I gotta know who's on that parlay and what does it pay? Because I might ride with you. I might ride with you just because I love the idea of it. I might come along for the trip. Might come along for the trip on that one.
Speaking of no goals, I'm just looking at this. The Blue Jackets team total under 2.5 is minus 150. And I don't want to speak out of turn, but I think the Jets, let me just pull this schedule up right now because this number is absolutely bananas. But so far in January, they have played 4 games and given up 6 goals in the entire month. So 2 twice. You have to go back to 2, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 1, 2. In the entire month of December, they only gave up 3 goals once, and that was in overtime. They gave up a power play goal in overtime to the Montreal Canadiens. But other than that, you have to go back for the last time the Jets gave up 3 goals in a game. You have to go back to that game against the Oilers on November 30th, that fluke goal by Darnell Nurse.
That changed everything. Yeah.
That's the last time the Jets gave up 3 goals in a game in regulation. And the only time it happened in all of December was an OT win. So we're talking about 1, 2, 3, 7, 10, 12, 13, 16 of their last 17 has been 2 goals or less.
That's a ridiculous run of stinginess, buddy.
Minus 150 for under 2.5 goals does seem like a gimme, if you will. Although that'll be the time where obviously one of the goalies is a bad night or something that happens. But that's the way they're playing right now. So if you want something that's reliable, just take the team total under 2.5 for whoever the Jets are playing. And I would say that considering the way Columbus is looking in, it might be a nice night to jump on that at minus 150.
Duck Dad has PLD, Zetterlund, Barzal, Henrique, Kurashev, Hayes, Fantilli, Krause, and Huberdeau on that 10-legger. That's what he's looking at. Plus 590 if you want to run with a little no goals parlay. All right, Huss, what do we do for a partner parlay tonight? I mean, there's lots of options around the National Hockey League here. So
let's take a look at these games. Tell you what, the as great as the Canucks looked last night, and I saw a couple people referring to them. They looked like the Globetrotters last night against the New York Rangers. And man, Elias Pettersson's looking great. Probably saw his countryman secure the bag for 92 mil and thought, let's just go into the bright lights of MSG and remind everybody that I'm due for
I got
nice
some
raise.
game myself. Yes.
They're right back at it, though, tonight against the New York Islanders. Tough turnaround. I mean, obviously, you don't have a lot of travel. But the Canucks plus 106. I don't mind the Islanders, I think, in that spot. But, man, Vancouver, maybe I went against Vancouver last night. Maybe we should take a day off of Vancouver. Did the Leafs play the Sharks every night? What is it? I think they played them like this is their 3rd game in like the last 10 days or something like that. Obviously, we're not going to be spending too much time there on that. What about the Kings and Tampa tonight? Kings minus 120 at Tampa. Tampa getting plus money as a home dog.
Yeah, I think actually it was a Rod Z trend, actually, if we want to talk about trends. I think he said the Kings are like, 0-7 or 0-8 in their last 7 or 8 games out in Tampa. Get Tampa as a home dog. LA has not been playing well lately, man. If you take a look at what the Kings have done as of late, they are 4-4-2 in their last 10, and they have lost 5 in a row. 2 of them in a shootout, but they lost to Vegas, they lost to Edmonton, they lost to Toronto, they lost to Detroit, and then they lost to Washington to start this road trip. And I think they were up in that game, if I recall correctly. That was a couple nights ago. I might be wrong. Anyway, I think they might. Anyway, they lost to Washington. So I mean, I don't know, where are you up for riding the cooling of the Kings, or do you look at it and go, man, this Los Angeles team is not going to drop 6 in a row?
I kind of do like Tampa in this game, to be honest. I know they gave up; they got lit up in their last game against Boston, but they bounced back from losses before. I mean, they lost to the Jets 4-2. They came right back and beat the Wild. Similarly, after they lost to the Rangers 5-1, they came back and won 4-3. The big thing with Tampa right now is the blue line and the injuries that they've got. Like the amount of guys, Sergachev is out right now, Hayden Fleury's out, Cernak's out, Tanner Jeannot's out as well, and that's I mean, maybe not as much as far as the scoring goes, but at least they've got 6 defensemen, and you know that Hedman's going to play half the game right now. I like them. I like them in this spot, coming back home after a 1-2 road trip. This team has a lot of veteran moxie, and I think they'll be ready. They know they need to get these wins right now, and I think they'll be ready for the Kings, who, as you mentioned, have just been sort of meh lately.
Yeah.
And hey, if we're getting a team like that at home at plus 102, I know the Kings have been probably better on the road than they have been at home this year, but they won their first 11. I think if you take those games out, you'll look at a team that sort of has a regular road record the rest of the way. So I don't mind Tampa at plus 102 in that spot if you like it.
Yeah, no, I'm good with that.
We've also got the obviously that Oiler number is a little much. What's the Oiler minus 1.5? Minus 182.
On a parlay, that's not bad. I mean, that's not a horrible number on a parlay.
Bruins. I actually watched that Boston Colorado game, and it was pretty fun last night. Went to OT. Ended up going to a shootout. David Pastrnak with one of the worst shootout attempts you will ever see. Hard to believe from a guy that can score 60. But, man, Arizona looked brutal against the Jets on Sunday night. I know it's the second game of back-to-backs, but to me, Boston's in another category right now than Arizona is right now. I could handle back in the Bruins on the road. Hard to think that they're going to come out of these 2 games with just 1 point.
Another one I like Nashville in regulation against the Ducks. It's minus 135. Nashville's won 3 of 4. We know they've been steady all year. Anaheim, in their last 5 games, have only scored a total of 6 goals. They lost 2-0 to Arizona, got pumped by the Oilers 7-2, lost to Toronto 2-1, lost to Winnipeg 3-1, and then lost to Detroit 3-2. So they have not scored more than 2 goals in their last 5 games, and they only have 1 win in their last 8. You can get Nashville in regulation at minus 135. And they're at home. They haven't played in a couple of days, actually. I think they last played on the 6th, so 2 full days of rest. I like Nashville a lot tonight as well in regulation.
Yeah, we can throw that in there. So we got the Preds at minus 135 in reg. Now, I mean, Tampa and Boston, I'm in on the money line. The other thing that we could put in that I just sort of mentioned is Columbus under 2.5 goals.
Team total,
Columbus under team total. Just keep on riding that Jet number.
And what was that at? That was at?
Minus 150 for under 2.5.
So Nashville in regulation, Columbus minus 150, under 2.5. And then what do you want to go?
Yeah.
You want to go with Tampa? Or you want to go with Boston?
Well, what say you? Boston's minus 141, Tampa's plus 102. I kind of think that it's more Boston. I think is a safer play.
I think so
the
too.
Odds will dictate that on you.
So what would that put us at if we take those 3 before the boost?
If those 3, it's plus 396.
So we'll get it boosted up to probably plus 450-ish. I'm okay with that.
What if we added in? If we add in Oilers in regulation, it's plus 590.
Oilers in reg, Okay, plus to get to plus 590.
Yeah.
And that'll take us over 6 after the. Okay, yeah, let's throw that in there for sure.
Four-gamer. It's a
Yeah,
four-gamer.
four-gamer.
But Nashville and Edmonton in regulation.
Yeah.
Blue Jackets under 2.5, and Bruins money line.
Okay.
We don't often go with 4, but
No.
I mean, we're kind of picking at a couple things.
That
are
Oilers
bigger
in
numbers
regulations
right
just a. I mean, I'm not too worried about that one. So that's just a way to get some more value on it. So
now. Yeah,
yeah,
I agree.
Yeah.
And you know what? If Chicago somehow takes them to overtime, shame on us.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure the Oilers can get it done.
All right, Jake, lock that in. Columbus under 2.5, Nashville and reg, Edmonton and reg, Boston money line. That'll pop up in the exclusives section over at Coolbet where the EST parlay already is. Are you putting something together for the Jets during WST today?
We will see. We've kind of, it'll probably be something similar to what we just did, at least with that Columbus total. We'll chop it up in WST, and I'll hit Jake up if we've got something on that. But I think we'll probably just ride this one hard right now. And again, if you want to get on the script parlay, Browns, Chiefs, Bills money line, those numbers are going down. It's still plus 194. If you want to get that in, it was plus 208 yesterday.
Huss, before I let you go, Winnipeg Sports Talk today. I know obviously you'll be setting up this hockey game against the Blue Jackets tonight. Winnipeg Blue Bombers. I saw, was it Walters that said it's time to get going here with Brady Oliveira and Dalton Schoen because they want to spend the money elsewhere if they're not going to have them. So what's the vibe around Bomberville with that type of discussion right now?
Well, honestly, I mean, there's a lot of talk about those guys, but here's the line that I think caught people a lot of guard, maybe not off guard, but something that I don't think we wanted to hear. And the guy that didn't want to hear it the most is Brady Oliveira. Or actually, he's happy about this, is that they're pending free agents, including Stanley Bryant, not planning on retiring. So, it's good and bad in that you got to pay those guys if they want to come back. But Bryant, I mean, he's just been such a rock. It's good news for the Bombers if they can get his name on a contract. I think that helps Brady Oliveira. And to be honest, if most of the guys want to come back now that the bitter taste of the way things ended in Hamilton at the Grey Cup are there, I think you got a better chance of getting most of that group back and giving it another run. But they got to get Schoen and Oliveira done on multi-year deals.
Yeah, you don't want to go through this again.
The Grey Cup the following year. They don't want to go through this again right now. Pay them, give them what they deserve, work it all around it. But that's good news because I think that if Bryant and Jamarcus Hardwick, if all of a sudden the Bombers are completely overhauling their offensive line, then a lot of things come on the table for the Bombers that I don't think we wanted to think about.
All right, so that's coming up on Winnipeg Sports Talk today. Haas will let you go get ready. I'm going to take a run through all the exclusives available over here at Coolbet before we wrap the lock shop, and we'll catch up with you tomorrow, buddy.
Beautiful. Good luck, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow right here in the lock shop. Take it easy, Dusty.
There you go. That is Hustler. The lock shop will continue up until about noon. Two guys in goalie today, myself and Joaquin Gage. Stuart Skinner starting for the Edmonton Oilers tonight. I'm sure Gage will have some interesting thoughts on that here against the Chicago Blackhawks. How many games is Skinner going to play this year? Over 60? Is that what's going to happen here? And are we okay with that? We'll get into that on Two Guys in Goalie with myself and Gager. But right now, let's just take a look. So we obviously threw that out. I think this is kind of without the fancy football show anymore for the final 10 minutes. I think what we'll do at the end of the lock shop, if it's just me, I'll whip you through a bunch of exclusives. If Pat or Jake are with us, they'll probably just stick around and we'll continue the show. Huss has to go get ready for Winnipeg Sports Talk, which is coming up right away. If you go to the exclusives page at coolbet.com, you'll still find the EST parlay. I know many of you have already got in on that. I know some of you were saying that I didn't go hard enough. Probably should have gone 2 points in Bouchard on this game, which would have bumped that number up a little bit. But still, I mean, I'm looking at plus 490, and the only thing I'm remotely worried about is if Leon Draisaitl scores or not. That's it. So Draisaitl with a goal, McDavid 2 points, Nugent Bouchard with a point, Edmonton team total over 3.5, and the Oilers to win by 2 or more at plus 490, which my dad might be getting in on. If you missed it on the Nielsen show, I revealed it. HR Daddy signed up for a Coolbet account over the holidays and made a little deposit, got his little bonus, and is now dabbling in a few of the wagers. Said he was going to be riding with us on these EST parlays. Under the Lock Shop Partner Parlay tab on the exclusive page at Coolbet, They've already put up your nasty chat parlay, which is great. How awesome is this? Like, where else right now can you go get in on a YouTube chat, get a boosted parlay posted by the end of said show over at Coolbet? This is great. Buchnevich, 3+ shots. Brady Tkachuk, 4+ shots. Kraken to win at plus 585. So that's the number there. And then we have the Lock Shop partner parlay that I'm sure Jake will get up here right away, or F-Dog or whoever over at Coolbet is handling this today. I saw Jakey in the chat, so I'm sure he's on it. Nashville regulation, Edmonton regulation, Columbus under 2.5 total goals, and Boston on the money line, and that number should come in over 6-1, which is very nice as well. Let's get to some other. Let me just check out. Oh, they got the lacrosse exclusive parlay pumped up in there as well. That's for later in the week on the 13th. Let me run you through the starting goalies, whether they're confirmed or not tonight in the National Hockey League. Something to take a quick peek at here. Los Angeles Kings, Tampa Bay Lightning. Cam Talbot is listed as likely right now. Vasilevsky listed as unconfirmed. San Jose and Toronto. Martin Jones getting the start for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Kaapo Kähkönen in between the pipes for the San Jose Sharks. Levy is likely for the Buffalo Sabres. Joey Decord unconfirmed at this point for the Kraken, but he's been absolutely red hot, as they have been red hot. Thatcher Demko went last night. We're going to get into Thatcher Demko a little bit with Gager on Two Guys and a Goalie today, because Gager absolutely loves Thatcher Demko. Was all over him last year, and he had a bit of a disappointing season last year, but I'm sure he loves what he's seeing today. Anyway, Demko's not going to go tonight. Played last night. Casey DeSmith, unconfirmed at this point, but you have to think he goes for the Canucks there. Sorokin confirmed for the Islanders. Hellebuck listed as likely for the Winnipeg Jets. The Blue Jackets going with Tarasov. Unconfirmed, though, at this point. The Ducks and the Preds, UC Saros and Lucas Dostal, also unconfirmed. Panthers and Blues tonight. Hofer is confirmed for St. Louis. Stolar's confirmed for the Florida Panthers. Mrazek versus Skinner in that Oilers-Hawks game tonight as well. Connor Ingram confirmed to start for the Coyotes. Olmark listed as unconfirmed for the Bruins. Markstrom confirmed for the Flames. Eunice Korpisalo right now listed as likely for the Ottawa Senators. It's something else you can look at tonight. NBA card, NBA slate for tonight. Detroit Pistons plus 420 on the money line at home against Sacramento Kings. The Timberwolves minus 200. The New York Knicks, this number was over minus 700 earlier when the lock shop began, when I took an early look at the NBA slate. It's sitting at minus 667 on the money line. There's no value there. They're a 12.5-point favorite at minus 105. The Memphis Grizzlies with Ja Morant out are plus 280 dogs against the Dallas Mavericks. The line in that game sitting at 8.5, and a game that I will be watching later on tonight as well. And this is an interesting one for me. The Raptors are 3-1 in since the trade. They're 3-1 in their last 4. They're getting 5 points tonight. I just want to bring this matchup up and kind of dive into it a little bit, because it's kind of what I thought. Some money coming in on the Raptors tonight, because the Lakers have just been so hit and miss as well. The Lakers needed that win against the Clippers, but they're 3-7 in their last 10 with losses to Memphis. That one they just pissed away. They didn't have that game, but they were well within control of that game and ended up losing 127-113. They lost to Miami. They lost to New Orleans. They lost to Minnesota. Their only other wins prior to that big win against the Clippers, and I don't know if that gets them going here or not. Having watched the Lakers quite a bit, I mean, maybe that win against the Clippers gets them going. But I don't know. The Raptors being 3-1 in their last 4 and looking pretty good since the deal. Getting 5 points. I don't hate. Let's see here. They beat Cleveland 124-121. They beat Memphis. They lost to Sacramento in a high-scoring affair, and then they hung 133 on the Golden State Warriors. I don't know if this is, take this with a grain of salt, because I'm very anti Darvin Ham right now. but I don't necessarily hate the Raptors getting 5 points tonight. Rod Z says Raptors money line. They've won 4 straight on the road versus the Lakers. I like the trade as they look so much better as a team. They do. I mean, that's yeah. I think. I mean, yeah. I think Raptors plus 5 is probably the play in that game. And Duck Dad says PWHL outrights posted. I have no idea where to lay some money, so I'm going to wait for a free bet and just throw a dart, which is not a bad idea as well. And look, PWHL, they're going to check off a bunch of boxes along the way. They had a great start. If they can get us sucked in on the betting side, that's only going to go a long way. Boston right now plus 315, Minnesota plus 325, New York plus 340, Toronto plus 400, Montreal plus 550, and Ottawa plus 600 over there. If you've been watching the PWHL and you want to toss a little sprinkle in there. All right, that is going to do it for the Lock Shop today. Great chat, everybody. Appreciate you being here. We got 2 guys and a goalie coming up as well, so do not go anywhere. Myself and Joaquin Gage getting you ready for the Oilers and the Chicago Blackhawks tonight as well. That is on the way, and we'll obviously dive into the Philadelphia drama as well, and all the other stories happening around the National Hockey League tonight. We'll get you ready for that. I know with Gager and I, one thing that we probably have to discuss a little bit is the Mandalorian is heading to the big screen. Movie coming for Grogu and Mando. And Gage and I, being a couple of nerds, probably going to get into that coming up here on 2 Guys and a Goalie. Don't go anywhere.